It's just seasoned salt. It's seasoned salt. It's delicious. Welcome to World AIP, the YouTube channel dedicated exclusively to helping you implement the Autoimmune Protocol, but you might also enjoy it if you're into clean eating in general, whole foods and things like that. I'm Stacy, and today I want to talk about the microbiome and what I learned when I went to Austin, Texas for Paleo F. Sarah Ballantyne gave an awesome talk, and I learned a lot about keeping my microbiome healthy, and I want to share with you how I make my favorite microbiome boosting condiment. I'm just going to give you the summary of actionable things that I learned that I can use for my day-to-day life, you know, what I eat on a day-to-day basis. Sarah says that fish protein is the best protein for your microbiome, and it's not only because of its omega-3 fatty acid content, which is also amazing for its anti-inflammatory action, but just fish protein in general, best for your microbiome. So apparently the microbiome does not love saturated fat, and she says to keep it under, I think she said 15%. Not to say like don't ever eat beef, no. Because grass-fed beef has that CLA that's so good for you. Just, you know, buy grass-fed and eat mostly fish, I guess. I'm not going to stop eating beef for sure, but the microbiome doesn't love saturated fat or high total fat, as in like over 50%, you know. Soy and casein, A1 casein protein, skew the microbiome to a more obese and diabetic microbiome. So, it's alright, we're cool, we're safe on AIP. She says we should double the USDA fiber guidelines. They're telling us to eat 25. She says aim for 50. I have trouble doing that, but you know, I try. I try to, go over 25 grams at least. And this is important. She says you need diverse food sources, not bunches of one type of fiber. Like these people that are taking all the potato starch. I get it. It is loaded with RS2, the second type of resistant starch, which is supposed to have, you know, benefits as far as weight loss, insulin, lowering insulin and stuff like that. But just taking a bunch of raw potato starch alone isn't going to, no, you want all the different types. They don't work in isolation, they all work together. And then she goes on to say, you know, like all the veggies, leafy greens, onions, cabbage, peas, when you do your stage 1 reintros, pea protein is supposed to be good for your microbiome. Lentils. Her talk actually got me to, like, I didn't care about lentils. I was like, yeah, someday I'll reintro them, but why? Who cares about them? You know, it's just another carb. But then I wanted all the different kinds of food for my microbiome, so I added back in lentils, and I'm okay with them as a reintro, but I'll keep them out of my recipes for you guys, obviously. Apples, honey. She says honey doesn't affect blood sugar. She's got an article on her site. It's pretty interesting. Mushrooms. She's nuts about mushrooms. OMG. Mushroom. Listen, good news. If you're on a low FODMAP diet, oyster mushrooms are low FODMAP. The Monash Institute did a lot of testing to not all mushrooms are the same, like shiitake mushrooms. Yes, high FODMAP. Don't eat those if you have digestive issues with FODMAPs. But I actually thought I had an issue with mushrooms, but I tried oyster mushrooms and I'm okay with them. And there's another kind, not as easy to find, shimeji mushrooms I found at the Asian market, and I'm okay with those too. And black wood ear, cloud ear. There's another black fungus that has a million names, including cloud and ear, and that one's low FODMAP, but that you can only get like dried online. So oyster mushrooms though. Anyway, she's nuts about mushrooms, and she says they should be on your plate like every other day, and they should be their own food group because they're not a vegetable, they're a fungi. Chocolate, when you're able to reintroduce chocolate, and this was partly behind why she changed chocolate to a stage 1 reintro, is the polyphenols in dark chocolate, unsweetened chocolate, are amazing for your microbiome. And I've reintroduced that, and I've been including, you know, raw cacao powder in some of my recent creations. I can still share those recipes with you, and you can use carob when you're on strict elimination phase AIP, but the cacao, the actual cocoa, the chocolate, is amazing for your microbiome. And if you reintroduce nuts, walnuts, she says, are the best nut for the microbiome. And bugs, she says, bugs. Edible insects are amazing for your microbiome. Why? Because they have chitin, which is part of the exoskeleton. And you can also find chitin in some nuts and mushrooms, and in shrimp shells. You do not need to eat crickets and bugs, even though historically humans always have. It's not, I know you're like, ew, shut up, gross, but like, that's what we did, you know, as far as hunter-gatherers. There's things in insects that are really good for you, and historically we've always eaten them, and they still do in many parts of the world. You know, they sell like little snack bags full of like silkworms with, you know, seasoned salt on them in the 7-Elevens there, or whatever they call their convenience store. But anyway, the exoskeleton of insects has chitin, which works as a prebiotic for your microbiome, and it's very healthy. But you don't need to eat insects to get chitin. I'm going to show you how I make a condiment that contains chitin out of shrimp shells, which is delicious and tasty and versatile and does the same thing for your microbiome as the chitin in cricket powder if you don't want to go that route. She says the gut microbiome can shift in 3 to 4 days. The life cycle is about 2 days. That's why she wants you to have those mushrooms on your plate every other day. And different strains in your microbiome benefit from different foods. Oh, here's a good one. Olive oil can correct the gut microbiome all by itself, or at least help it along. I'm not saying don't do any of the other stuff. All you have to do is drink olive oil. It's not that simple, but it can positively affect the microbiome just alone. It will increase diversity. Diversity is good. We want diversity. And it'll increase the probiotics versus the bad, you know, guys. So olive oil, olive oil, olive oil. Balanced macronutrients. Sarah is like really kind of anti-keto. And I know that she's been hated on for that. Like, she's gotten just like, I've seen negative stuff online. People are like hating on her for hating on keto. Like, because people, when they believe in something, people with their diet, it's almost like people with their religion, you know? When you look at the vegans versus the carnivores versus the whatevers, like everybody's so like, this is the way, and I get like emotionally tied to it, you know? I try to stay neutral. Like, I don't hate vegans, I don't hate carnivores, I don't hate anybody. If you're doing what you're doing is working for you and you feel amazing, and hopefully you're supporting, you know, you're voting with your dollar and you're not buying a bunch of factory-fed junk. Cool. Everybody's different. Everybody's different, and what works for one person is gonna work. You know, you guys know that. But anyway, yeah, she's gotten a little hate for her stance on keto. I don't hate it for it because I personally do horrible on keto. And everyone automatically assumes when you don't do well on a diet that they do well on, that you did it wrong. When I say I did horrible on keto, maybe some people who are huge proponents of it will be, that's because you didn't balance your electrolytes. You should have supplemented with potassium. Listen, I don't do well on it. I read all that stuff. I'm kind of a geek like that. It's just, for me, it does not work. I think in general, it's better for like guys do better on it. Women and our hormones, I don't know. I also do horrible on high carbohydrates. So for me, like magic happy place is 75 to 150 grams. And I'm not talking net carbs, I'm talking total carbs. That basically boils down to what she says here and what Mark Sisson used to preach before he went keto with his carbohydrate curve. This also correlates with Mark Hyman's views on macros. If you read like Eat Fat, Get Thin or Food, What the Heck Should I Eat? They're all very similar. And so balanced macros to her, and according to them, 20 to 35% protein, 20 to 40% carb, 20 to 50% fat. Vitamin D, she says, really affects the microbiome, but you don't want to overdo it either. It's better to supplement every test. And a lot of people are deficient in vitamin D. Glyphosate levels in allowed amounts in tap water, they're still going to mess up your microbiome. Any exposure to glyphosate is going to mess up your microbiome. The under this XYZ amount parts per million that they allow, that little bit, is, ugh. Use a water filter. And chlorine is also bad for it. Oh, alkaline water. She says stop. She called it a stupid trend. She said do not drink alkaline water. It skews the microbiome and it's just bad. No alkaline water. And obviously eat your veggies. Someone asked raw or cooked. She said both, mix it up. And this blew my mind. If you know why, or if you have any thoughts on this, please comment below, explain this to me. She says roast and brown your veggies because advanced glycation end products are good for our gut bacteria. Cannot compute. You know, I've been avoiding, you know, advanced glycation end products are what forms with protein and sugars and heat all combined, and they're carcinogenic. Maybe not vegetables, maybe it's different with vegetables, because she says advanced glycation end products are good for our gut bacteria. I'm thinking only vegetable specific ones, but I want more information on that. She likes the microbiome tests, like the biome and all. She doesn't have anything negative to say about them. As far as taking probiotics, probiotic pill, not enough. You need to cross-feed species. Some species live off the waste products of other species, so some strains of bacteria in your microbiome need to eat the poop of the other strains, and they're all like helping one another out there. She says you cannot heal a leaky gut without balancing the gut microbiome. And then back to fats, she says medium chain triglyceride oil is different than other saturated fats, and your microbiome doesn't necessarily dislike it, but when you're picking oils, olive oil, but you know, medium chain triglyceride oil is not gonna do anything bad to it. And then, you know, manage stress and sleep and be active without overtraining. These are all things that affect your microbiome. Speaking of microbiomes, last summer I was doing a ton of experimenting when I went through my alcoporia phase, and I was doing a lot of grazing. I was eating a lot of simple flours. I do terrible with like arrowroot starch. I was experiencing a ton of bloating, and the thing that got me back to good was actually just simplifying my starches. And basically I went to like staple plantain. I don't know if you noticed, but I started coming out with a lot of plantain and green banana stuff. Those really helped nurse my microbiome back to good. And also tiger nut flour. I seem to thrive on tiger nut flour. I'm not sure what it is about it. It's so high in fiber. You would think if I have bloating issues, but no, it's just like plantains and tiger nuts, plantains and tiger nuts. I can eat them all day. I feel good. I don't have bloating. That's my personal happy combo. Based on this, I was like, okay, I want to include this chitin, this valuable prebiotic fiber. I want to include it in my diet. I wasn't ready to take the leap into cricket flour, so I came up with this instead. I have since actually purchased some cricket flour, and I haven't experimented with it yet. But for now, this will do just fine. And you're just gonna need some high quality shell on wild caught shrimp. So shrimp can be really, the way they raise it is important. You do not want to get like shrimp from like farmed shrimp from Thailand or most shrimp at restaurants. Contaminants. Product of USA. Wild, that's the important stuff. Wild USA shrimp. And it has to be in the shell. I mean, I know the shelled shrimp is convenient, but do you know how much flavor you get from these shrimp shells? You can even make shrimp shell stock. After you make something with the shell on shrimp, you can reuse those shells and boil them in water and make a delicious rich stock, and then turn it into the shrimp salt I'm gonna make. It's about 3/4 pound. That'll make me plenty of shrimp salt. I'm gonna let that cook till it's pink. All right, I'm gonna set this shrimp aside and I'm gonna let it cool. And then I'm gonna get the shells off of it. And this liquid is delicious, rich. Oh, take a little taste once you do that. Taste the cooking liquid. That is like the best stock. Oh, I'm gonna admit I am terrible at getting the shells off of shrimp. If anyone has any tips on how to do it without, honestly, usually I just kind of use my teeth and I bite off all the little legs. And then I just make a mess. I don't know, is that just how you have to do it? I don't know. It's kind of a pain, but the end result is worth it. All the flavor is in those shells and the chitin. Just keep going until you have a little bowl of shells and little legs. All right, got my shrimp shells. So I'm gonna stick these in a piece of parchment paper. You could just go straight to the tray, but I'm trying to save myself some scrubbing later. Single layer. I think that coconut milk that I used to cook these in is gonna add a little extra flavor even. We're gonna stick these into the broiler. Keep a close eye on them, you don't wanna burn them. Go until they're nice and roasted and toasty and dry and crispy. All right, this is what we're going for. They are like just flying all over the kitchen. They just crack. It took like 10 minutes, but I would keep a close eye on it. Don't just put a timer on and leave the room. But you just want them to be like crackly. All right, let's make the shrimp salt. So I'm using this little coffee bean grinder. Pack them in so you can fit them all in one go. Or you might have to do a couple batches if you made a lot of shrimp. I like to do like, you know, a dozen or two dozen shrimp at a time because peeling them can be a pain. And this will make enough shrimp salt to last me a little while. I do go through a lot. I love it. So these have a really like toasty flavor. Just try some right out of there before you add the salt. Without food, they have a really nice toasty flavor. I love to, actually last time I made this, I didn't even add salt. I just used it just like this. I love it on a salad. It has a nice roastiness. Or I sprinkle it, like I'll take like a good, like a teaspoon and I'll sprinkle it all over any kind of stir fry. If you want to turn it into a salt that you could put in your shaker, all you gotta do is just add some salt. And I eyeball it. I'll do like half salt. Whoa, this was some super fine powdery salt that I had made so that I could stick to my macadamia nuts, because the regular salt doesn't stick, you know, it falls off. So I put this salt in here, powdered it, and it sticks to nuts if you reach for them, or tiger nuts, whatever. Anyway, nice and powdery, and then I'm just gonna blend these. You don't have to use powdered salt, I just want to use it up. It's taking up space. Regular salt. No Himalayan pink salt. Salt in there helped grind the shrimp to an even finer consistency. But like I said, you could just use it without the salt, just the flakes. It's yummy. If you buy your spices at Whole Foods, save these jars. They're awesome. I reuse them. They're nice sturdy jars. Now you can sprinkle on some yummy chitin enriched umami flavored yummy shrimp salt onto your salad, stir fry, anything you're eating. This would be good on anything. I'm talking steak, seafood, pork, anything, vegetables. It's delicious. You'd have to try it to understand. Just try it. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You were gonna throw the shrimp shells away anyway, right? Roast them and oh, yummy. Anyway, there's how you can get some chitin into your diet without eating crickets and bugs. Although, in the future, I'm going to show you how to eat crickets and bugs too. But I'll try not to go on too much of a tangent. I know you're not all into that stuff, but I do think that edible insects are the wave of the future. This is fine for now, right? I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then subscribe, because I put out a new one every Thursday. And if you want recipes that never go on YouTube, I put out one exclusive patron recipe as a thank you to my patrons once a month. This month's English muffins. It's a really good one. If you want to see behind the scenes clips of like what I bought at the grocery store and what I'm working on in the kitchen and stuff like that, you don't have to be a patron to view those. Those are on Patreon too. You will still find inspiration and more real world AIP there. Let me know what you use your shrimp shell salt. Let me know what you use your shrimp shell salt for. I hope to see you soon. I hope you're enjoying your summer. And until then, be healthy.